What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful night. Beautiful night right now. Nice, dry, cool, very comfortable. And I have fresh tea. Lipton. That smells delicious. That's delicious. Awesome flavor. These Lipton people, they have it down. I mean, it's like the best tasting tea. I know I've had tea from all over the place, and this holds its own. Don't think because it says Lipton and it's sold in a regular supermarket that it's not good. This stuff is premium. Delicious. Delicious. You can never have enough of tea. So, interesting magazine. I'm all about visiting weird places, and I've said this other times, but I know the fascination with traveling to places that you want to see, like Paris, London, right? Tokyo, places like that you want to see. But I want to see places that are not normally talked about. Like, for example, I want to go to the most northern town. What is it, Barstow? What is that place called there? Up in northern Alaska. They changed the name recently, so I have to look it up again. But I'd like to go visit, walk around a little bit, shoot some video, meet the locals, mingle with the crowd. I'd like to visit the extreme northern parts of the world. Get a good jacket, nice good jacket, gloves, nice cap, hat, and explore. I did a lot of exploring when I was younger. The difference was no camera. It's all in the memory. If I had a camera back then, I had a camera, but it was like 12 exposure, 24 and 36. You had to be limited, and you had to be very selective in what you took pictures, of. Because, you couldn't afford to take random pictures like now. Now you take pictures of a crack in the sidewalk. So I would like to explore places like that. I'd like to go down to Chile, right? And I should have brought my bug, racket. But I'd like to go down to Chile. Beautiful Andes Mountains are down there. Very beautiful looking mountains. And they have a nice desert in the north. So I'd like to start off there, maybe with a nice Jeep, like a 5-speed manual transmission Jeep, like the old-fashioned kind from World War II. And I'd like to go all around, have a spare gas tank in the back in case something happens. You never know. You never know. You run out of gas, you're done. Of course, I'd carry a satellite phone or one of those walkie-talkies that you can talk to all over the world with. Get one of those. Then I'd go to the Andes. But there's so many places on my Google Earth map thing that I have. I want to see. I want to see the popular places as well. I'm not fascinated with visiting Buckingham Palace. I mean, if I'm there, I'll go, because it would be ridiculous to go all the way over and not see that. Big Ben, big clock. But I want to go see the neighborhood where Dexy's Midnight Runners lived. Right? I like those kind of neighborhoods. So I'd go there, walk around, and then I'd go to Ireland. Check out the cliffs. Oh, I love Ireland. Right? Dublin. Friendly people. That accent, right? Makes you feel nice and cozy inside when you hear it. I had a what do you call him? Teacher. I had a teacher back in 8th grade. She was from Ireland. Right? She was in the U.S. just a few short years. And she had that Irish accent. She would say top of the morning to you, all that stuff. And something about the way she sounded made her sound very clean. I don't know if it's the commercials with Irish Spring. But I don't know, for some reason when you hear an Irish person talk, they sound very clean. So yeah, that's what I would like to do. When I was a kid, I always wanted my parents or anybody to surprise me, blindfold me, wake me up suddenly at night, take me to the airport, and then we get on a plane and they put like, you know, wax in my ears so I can't hear what the pilot is saying. I don't want to hear where we're landing. I want to be all surprised, blindfolded and all that. In those days you could be blindfolded. They didn't have to see who you were. I mean, maybe customs would, right? But I was little, so they'd probably just say let him go. They'd say it's a surprise for him. And then I wanted to end up in some weird place. Interruptions, man. Hold on. All right, that was a slight interruption. My daughter needed something, wanted something, so I had to take that call. I'm back. Only like 30 seconds passed, so it's not like it's another day. So anyway, what was I talking about? Ireland? Right? If I wasn't, something. I think it was almost got interrupted there. So yeah, love to go see Ireland, but I want to go for a bit. You know, I want to have a nice vehicle, go around, check out all the green grass there, cows eating it. So we'll see. We'll see. Also, I'd like to visit uninhabited islands. There are a few of them down in Antarctica that I've located. Just rock and ice. Tough to survive there. You have to bring your own Campbell's soup cans, your own fires, because there's nothing to burn down there. And then I'd like to go to the, where Gilligan's Island was, the fictional place, not the one out here. I'd like to go there, South Pacific, be like a Tom Hanks thing going on there. I actually met Tom Hanks years ago. He gave me an up and down thing. I don't know what he thought of me, but I did meet him. And I'm a big fan of that movie. I mean, any kind of movie with me, if it involves time travel, if it involves like an uninhabited island where you're stuck there, maybe there's a big disaster in the ocean, like the Blue Lagoon. That's a good movie. Blue Lagoon was very strange when I was a kid. That came out, and my parents thought it was like rated XXX or something. They would hear Blue Lagoon, and somebody told them that's inappropriate. And by today's standards, that's a G movie. And I remember one time we had these friends over, right? Like older, they're much older than me, and they were sleeping over. And they took my room, right? My mother decided they could sleep in your room, you sleep on the couch in the living room. So my parents put a sheet up on the doorway, because there was no doors from the living room, dining room to the kitchen. So they put the sheet up so I couldn't go and look from the side to see, they were watching the Blue Lagoon that night. And I don't know what they thought. First of all, it's a couple of kids, right? What's his name there? Was it Christopher Atkins or something at Brooke Shields? All right, she walked around without her top on. She's a little kid though, and I think in today's world that's a no-go. But back then they did that scene, but there was nothing about it that I couldn't have watched. They made it sound like it was just Beretta was worse than that, and I used to watch Beretta every single week. So anyway, I'd like to go on a journey like that. I'm a big fan, if somebie has a boat and they can take me. I'm in LA, right? So if you can go down to San Pedro, I will meet you there. You can give me a ride out to an uninhabited island somewhere in the middle of the South Pacific. I'd appreciate it. Leave me there for a couple of weeks. I can survive that. And then come get me. It's up to you. If you're a decent person, you'll come and get me. If not, you're going to face consequences at some point, but probably not by me, but somebody who knows me. That's delicious, so tasty. So yeah, that's on my bucket list. A bunch of weird places on the planet. That's why I get that. That's why I get that. I need to know where they are. I search all over the place. Google Earth is a good source. I used to find, like, what I would do is, I still do it once in a while, but earlier I would go into like the Mojave, zoom in, and I'd find all these strange places. I would get the coordinates, and then I'd find them in real life. Take my kids along, and we had an adventure. Then we'd have a sandwich. So today, I was reading in the on the internet, right? But it's really the paper. I was reading in the paper that they're going to make the prequel to First Blood, John Rambo. I've been saying this for years, right? So I've been saying that for Rambo. I've been saying it for Rocky. So I've posted all over the place about Rocky. I said Rocky should be like a Godfather 2. Not the story, but the structure. They should have the first section, right? It should be Rocky's life from, like, say 1966 to 76, where we catch up Rocky 1. And then the other portion of it, right, where they splice it together, it should be Mickey's life. And it should start a little bit before the Furpo Dempsey fight, right? So it should be based on that, event, and all the events, the training leading up to the Furpo fight, because Mickey was the undercard on the Dempsey Furpo fight. And they should show back and forth. They should show the 20s, right? And they should show the 60s, and how these two men mature. And I posted that all over the place. And one day I heard Stallone say the exact same thing I've been saying for a very long time. And then for Rambo, I always wanted to see the beginning. I wanted to see him in Bowie, Arizona as a kid, going through school, then high school, and then doesn't know what to do, and then figures, hey, maybe I can join the military and, see what happens there. Show him through the training, how he becomes who he became, and then go into the Vietnam War and the tragedies that occurred and why he ended up in Washington State, which is really Hope, Canada. But I've been saying that for years. I want to see a prequel. I want to see a prequel, and finally it's happening, because I read today that, I think they already have a screenplay done for it. And I'm very excited about that. That movie, the first one, not the others, but the first one spoke to me. I went up to see it with a friend of mine. I had no idea what was happening, right? My friend calls me up, and this is a friend of mine who was, like, watched by his mother and father. He couldn't, like, do anything without, so I don't know how we ended up going to movies with him, but it was just me and him. And he goes, I'm going to take you to see a movie, and you're gonna like it. And I go, who's in it? And he wouldn't say. He goes, you'll see. So he goes and buys the tickets. I don't know what's going on, and I'm also playing along. I don't want to cheat and take a look at, what's that say. So I have no idea what's going on, and I didn't even know what First Blood was. So we go in there, and we sat halfway down. It was a big theater. It was during the day, matinee, and it was basically, not even, I want to say it was like maybe 5% full. So I sat on the aisle seat where I always sit. He sat next to me on the left side, and I'm getting ready to see this movie. All of a sudden the ushers come in, and they get their little flashlights, and they're kicking kids out. A lot of kids snuck in there, kicking them out, and I go, yeah, we're definitely out of here. And he looks at us, and I guess, I don't know, we passed for some age, and they let us stay. They let us stay, and I saw it from the opening scene. I was captured. I love the way it opens with Rambo walking down, where that pond is, that lake, whatever, and got that lady there hanging up clothes with her daughter, and then Rambo asks where Delmo Barry is, and she says to the daughter to go inside or whatever, and she explains to Rambo that he died of cancer and all that. And then the story opens up with Rambo going into Hope, City of Hope there, and runs into Teasel. And every scene to me was fascinating and interesting, because that's what I like. You know, I enjoyed the solitary person going through this town, and all of a sudden he's attacked. They take him in, and he fights his way out using just his bare hands, basically, and a knife. Although he doesn't use the knife on them, but you know, it's basically his you know, his hands, and then he escapes into the woods. And I'm a big woods guy. You're not going to find many people that are bigger forest people than me when it comes to. I've been going into the forest since I was a child, like about that big. So I don't fear the woods. It's part of me, and I love it, you know. So that's where he goes. He goes in there, and Teasel's chasing him with the cop car there, the cruiser, and Rambo escapes. And I've been to those places, you know, the place where the motorcycle, you know, goes backwards on, and Rambo starts climbing up those rocks. I've been in that spot. I've been in the spot where Teasel's vehicle comes down into the rocks and flips over. I've been in that spot. The only place I didn't go to, because I ran out of time, my bride had dinner reservations, and so I had to turn back, but I was so close to it, literally a few hundred yards. Not even, I don't think a few hundred yards, I think maybe a few hundred feet. But anyway, where I went, I just had to go up this trail further up, and that's where that truck is, where he gets the tarp and puts it on with that rope. I wanted to see that, and I was so close. I was looking at my watch, and I was running out of time, and I didn't want to miss the appointment, because you never hear the end of that. So next time. And while I was there, I think the following day, I was leaving, but the following day they were showing for the last time, they were showing Rambo First Blood in the theater in town where all that action took place. I wanted to see it. That would have been a great experience. Unfortunately, I was not going to be there, but I did go to the gift shop, and I bought a few items. I even bought pieces of the bridge, which is no longer there, but it was there when I went the first time, so I got to walk over it. That's, I tell you, very delicious. So that movie spoke to me with a megaphone, like McGarrett would use when he would call out the criminals. The other ones, they were entertaining, but they were a little bit on the ridiculous side, and I did not enjoy them as much. You know, they were okay, but not. The first one was good, and the fact that they removed all the stupid dialogue that was in that movie. Originally, it was like a 3-hour movie with dumb dialogue all over the place. They took all that out, and they left about an hour and a half of it in, and then it became the movie we know now. So I've been in the forest where they're looking for him, and they can't find him, and then he booby traps that whole area. I've been in that location, walking around. It's not quite the way you imagine it. I mean, size-wise, because if you keep going, there's a road in the back. So they didn't go all the way back there, otherwise they would expose the road. But they shot it in a smaller circle, and me and my daughters walked all over the place in there. Beautiful forest. It's kind of like the forest you would expect the Hansel and Gretel people to be in. So I'm very excited that they're making a prequel. I always had that in my mind. I got tired of the sequels, you know, because they weren't really coming up with any good ideas. I wanted a sequel that was kind of based on the idea of the original. You know, that style. A loner walking through the town and ends up in some situation. That's what I wanted to see, that kind of stuff. And Stallone, you know, he thinks his Sylvester, he thinks his audience is, you know, they lack attention. You know, they lack not attentionability, because all his movies are extra short. I think he thinks that if like, you know, people that are fans of his go and see a movie, they can have the attention span of about an hour and a half, and then after that they drift off. They don't want to see it. I'm that way with fantasy movies. I don't want to see those. I wish those would be an hour and a half. Those bore me. I mean, I can go into a good sleep on those. Fantasy, Star Wars. Cannot stand Star Wars. You put me in front of a Star Wars movie and I bet you within 15 minutes I'm asleep. Problem is my wife, because she says, oh, you're snoring, the whole theater can hear you, nudges me, which annoys me, but, you know, I don't mind a little bit, like, hey, you know, but I get like an aggressive, like, you're snoring. So, that's good news. And you'll see soon they're going to say Rocky Prequel. And they're going to do it the way I said. Because there's no better idea, that's why. Anyway, it's a beautiful night tonight. Very nice. The temperature's perfect. Today we went bowling. I think I figured out a way to improve my game a little bit. Heavier ball. You know, 15 and up is for me. I got to get my own bowling ball. I go there and they have these balls that they're not that good. And I've been using a 14, but today I went up to a 15 and I was able to bowl better. So I think next time I'm just going to go and buy a bowling ball. Me and my 2 kids will get a bowling ball. My wife, I don't think she's interested in that. I don't know. I'll ask her, but it doesn't seem that way. Get a nice 15 shiny one. Start bowling like Earl Anthony, Mark Roth. I like bowling. Bowling, you know, I remember being a kid after Saturday morning cartoons. Sometimes you didn't know what to do. You know, I'd go in the attic. We had an attic full of stuff. You'd go up to explore. And I appreciated watching bowling. I would sit down and flip through the channels, and I would watch Earl Anthony versus Mark Roth. Earl Anthony was a little bit better, but big crybaby. So I'd watch him and Tarzan, Johnny Wise Mueller. I used to say Wise Miller. I think my father said Wise Miller, and I picked it up from him, but I really think it's Wise Mueller. Or Weiss Mueller. I think it's Wise Mueller. Either way, if you called him Johnny, he'd come to you. You know? That's another character I enjoy, the way he played it. I think Rambo was kind of based on Tarzan. You know, quiet, kept to himself, had a knife, right? Good fighting skills. Good hunting skills. That's how he survived. You don't think Tarzan was a vegetarian? I don't think so. But yeah, he had a nice hut up at the top. Now, realistically, you can't survive that long in a jungle without your vaccines. You know, you really think Tarzan would be in there and not come down with something like an exotic disease, take him right out? No hospitals in the area. You know, you need your vaccines. You need something. Typhoid fever, rabies. A lot of animals, you know, big rats have rabies. Something would get them. But, you know, and he looked healthy, so I'm sure, you know, somebody said, go down to the witch doctor and get some vaccines. Awesome. But he was my favorite Tarzan. I liked the, you know, minimalist approach to language. I know in the book Tarzan is very educated. He went to England, got a degree in banking or something, I don't know. And he speaks perfect English, but I don't know, to me it takes away something when I know that there's an educated person in the jungle. I'd rather believe that he's not educated. He's smart naturally, but he's not educated, and you know, he doesn't know where the knife and the fork go on a table when you have a plate in the middle. I don't want to get a guy in there who's very educated and, you know, knows everything about everything, speaks perfect English. Now, what are you doing in the forest? Yeah, but I love that Tarzan. I always wondered how he didn't hurt his feet running around with all those twigs and rocks, little gravel. You know, you're running fast, you step on it with your heel, and I thought maybe he had hollowed out feet. But then I go to the sides, you know, the sides that step on the ground, they still have to touch. So I don't know, calluses. Can't really live in the jungle. Although, you know, I'll tell you this right now, I'm fascinated with visiting the Congo. Every time I mention it to somebody, especially somebody educated, they always say to me, oh, you don't want to go there. Very dangerous. Politically, not safe. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the jungle. Maybe, you know, get one of the locals, show me around. I know somebody who's been in that area, and they told me that you have to go with people that know the area, number one. And number two, they have to be armed with like shotguns or something. And the reason is bamboo. I said bamboo, I'm looking at bamboo, I'm thinking bamboo. Baboons is what I want to say. Baboons, slowly, when you look behind you, there's a whole gang of them following you to take you out. So every so often you have to shoot a couple of rounds in the air to scare them off. Otherwise, you know, they're like zombies. They can get closer. It's like that game, red light, 1, 2, 3, red light. So you're walking and then you turn around, they're all like frozen, pretending they're not following you. Mama's boy going home, getting a kiss on the cheek. Listen, you hear that? That's a mama's boy going home. So anyway, the baboons will follow you, and then when you turn around, they stop. 1, 2, 3, red light, stop. And then eventually, when there's enough of them, they don't stop anymore. They keep coming and they smother you. So you need a couple of people there with shotguns and just a couple of rounds, boom, boom, and that's enough to scare them off. Matter of fact, they use that same technique on Jungle Cruise, Disneyland. You know, they have a little pistol there, and as the guy's doing his funny jokes, he will shoot a couple of those rounds, a couple of caps. So running out of coffee. I'm gonna start barbecue. I haven't barbecued in a long time. Got a new grill. It's still in the box. Got to make some space for it over there. Got to get rid of the old grill, and then start cooking. Start cooking some prime cuts of meat, like ribeye or New York strip. Maybe go hiking tomorrow. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe go down visit the trains. Or the mountains. May go up in the mountains. I will bring plenty of water. Since I'm mentioning it now and I know ahead of time, I will bring like a gallon of water with me. Shouldn't be that hot anyway. That was good tea. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.